also eradicating negative ones. Some people complained that this kind of genetic engineering was playing God, but Whitney didn't see it that way. The Kindred never took sentient species who were part of a community or civilization, and they were never cruel to the creatures they captured. All testing was done very humanely and without damaging the organism. Plus, as long as I'm part of the BG, I get to study all the wild, crazy alien animals I want, Whitney thought to herself, touching up her whiskers some more with the gold eyeliner pencil. That probably didn't sound very scientific or academic, but she couldn't help herself. She had a bubbly personality and a burning curiosity that couldn't be contained. She was about to go on a mission to a whole new world, and she was going to be back in time for the Halloween party her friend Kat was throwing, which was supposed to be amazing. Whitney grinned at her cat face in the viewer hung discreetly in the corner of her lab. She had her dream job, great friends, a home on the mothership, and a party to look forward to. What more could a girl ask for? "How about a man to go to the party with?" whispered a little voice in her head. Whitney frowned. Well, Kat had offered to introduce her to some eligible twin kindred at the party who were friends of her mates, Deep and Locke, but Whitney wasn't sure she wanted that. One man seemed like enough to handle at a time to her. Of course, Sophie had also offered to set her up with a blood kindred friend of her mate, Sylvan, who was the head of the Kindred High Council. That sounded intriguing too, but Whitney wasn't sure about the fangs. Sophie had assured her the bite of a blood kindred was incredibly pleasurable, but somehow it just didn't seem appealing. "What does sound appealing, then? A beast kindred, maybe?" whispered that same little voice in her head. "Maybe one beast kindred in particular? Whitney tried to push the little voice away. There was no use thinking of him that way. It was more than obvious the beast kindred in question wasn't interested in the slightest, so why should she bother? Swishing her long black braids over one shoulder, she gave herself a sidelong glance in the viewer. She didn't need to worry about a man she couldn't have. She had it going on. She was plus-sized, but a lot of kindred guys seemed to like that. She had a pretty face and a successful career. When she was good and ready, she'd find the right guy. She was sure of it. And in the meantime, she intended to have some fun. Alone in her lab, Whitney lifted up her voice and belted for all she was worth. "Never stopping, I was always searching for that perfect love, the kind the girls like me dream of. Now you're here like you've been before, and you know just what I need. It took some time for me to see that you give good love to me, baby. So good." "Is there such a thing as bad love?" a gruff voice asked from behind her. Whitney spun around, her hand going to her heart, which was suddenly beating a mile a minute under her conservative white lab coat. "Oh my God, Rafe, I didn't hear you come in," she exclaimed. "Don't sneak up on a girl like that." "I wasn't sneaking. You were just singing too loudly to hear my entrance." The tall beast kindred crossed his arms over his broad chest and frowned at her. He was almost 7 feet and extremely muscular, like all kindred, with wild black hair and the golden eyes of his kind. But there was something about him, a reserve Whitney couldn't seem to break through, even though she'd been trying for the last 6 months, which was how long they'd been working together. Rafe was her pilot/bodyguard. His actual title was her protector. Basically, he was the one who accompanied her to the alien worlds she visited, looking for new species, and kept her safe while she studied them. They always went in a group with other scientists, but he was assigned exclusively to her. Everywhere she went, Whitney could be certain that his dark, glowering face would be looking over her shoulder, watching for danger at all times. Despite his dour expression and serious personality, Whitney kind of liked her beast kindred bodyguard. In fact, when Rafe had first been assigned to her, she'd even had fantasies of him picking her up and carrying her away from danger, much like her namesake in the movie, The Bodyguard, which she